Top focus at this hour. North India continues to reel under the relentless fury of nature. After the devastating cloudburst in Uttarkashi and Kishtwar, yet another remote village in Jammu and Kashmir's Kathua has been cut off. And this has taken place in the Kathua district, resulting in the death of at least 4 people. In fact, 6 others have been rescued from Jorgati village in Rajbagh. This is where a sudden cloudburst lashed the area. Now, the village at this point stands completely isolated. Roads are snapped, communication has been disrupted, and fear looms large over the residents. In fact, landslides have also been reported in nearby villages of Bagar and Changra, as well as in different parts of Lakhanpur. However, no major destruction has been confirmed in these places so far, so that's some good news. Meanwhile, Jammu and Kashmir Chief Minister Umar Abdullah has directed the administration to carry out relief, rescue and evacuation measures to ensure the safety of residents. In fact, officials say that teams from police, the State Disaster Response Force, they've already been rushed to the scene to assess the damage, re-establish access and to conduct ongoing relief and rescue operations. Remember, also in Jammu Kashmir on August 15th, a devastating cloudburst in the Kishtwar district claimed the lives of over 60 people, with more than 100 others injured. In fact, multiple agencies still remain engaged in relief and rescue operations at the site. This incident occurred near the Mata Machail shrine, causing widespread destruction and leading to suspension of the annual yatra as well. And in fact, these are not the only incidents that have been reported earlier in Uttarakhand as well. A massive cloudburst in the Uttarkashi district on August 5th resulted in the deaths of more than 50 people, and it also injured hundreds. The town of Harshil now remains submerged under debris following the devastating flash flood triggered by the cloudburst. So essentially, it's a series of incidents taking place one after the other, whether it's Uttarakhand, whether it's Jammu and Kashmir, a series of incidents being witnessed, and they've also claimed massive amount of lives as well. The latest one we're getting in from Jammu and Kashmir's Kathua district, which has claimed 4 lives. About 6 people have been injured. Meanwhile, relief and rescue operations are underway at the site. As of now, SDRF and police, they've been rushed to the spot. Now, I also have Dr. A.P. Dimri, Professor from the School of Environmental Sciences, JNU, joining me on the broadcast. Thank you, Professor, for joining me on this story. Now, as we were discussing, it is not just one incident that has taken place. We've witnessed a series of incidents. So, according to you, what explains this pattern, a series of cloudbursts hitting northern India specifically?
Thank you for inviting me. I hope I am audible.
Yes, you are, sir.
Yeah. We have to see that this season, always in last decade, is prone to bring these disasters. And mechanism of this disaster linked with Indian summer monsoon is very oftenly debated, discussed and understood as far as the cloudburst event is concerned. Here we are more concerned about the cascading impact and mayhem after these disasters. I am not going in debate what cloudburst is. It's a GLOF, it's a something like that. But the cascading disaster which is coming in the form of flash floods, landslide need to be understood, and it is need to be brought to in the policy mechanism, because these all events are happening roughly 1,000 to 2,500 meter elevation. It doesn't go beyond that. So at least zonization of these regions as far as these events are concerned are very well understood and very well conveyed many times. We find that very oftenly these events are impacting the socio-economic scenario aspect of, you can say, government, or you can say the population, whatever is the suitable. These will be more prone in coming decade time because of the climate change and global warming. Temperatures are increasing. Hence, you have more energy available for moisture to be pushed, pump up these regions from Bay of Bengal and Arabian Sea along the foothill of Himalayas, where this moisture starts climbing up. And where energetics is much available, you have a cloudburst kind of event, because a lot of dynamics is required for cloudburst to happen. And now GLOF is also associated in many of such cases that were this thing. Third, importantly, because you're upgrading slope is 60 degree, roughly 45 to 60 degree in elevation, we see that most of the soil is getting saturated. And once the soil is getting saturated, in case of the lower elevations, in higher elevation, you have almost many elevation, you have glacier mass deposit or snow mass deposit. By virtue of this input, as a rain is engulfed with these two phenomena, and you have lot of slurry coming down slope in the mechanism. And these mechanism are repeatedly happening, and these need to be kind of parallelized, like we talk of the earthquake zones, zone 1, zone 2, seismic zone 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So something like, you will see the comparatively these cloud disaster are not that prone in the northeast region, but landslide is there because of the mechanism of the orography. Orography is much lesser, much gentle in Northeast India region, which is not the case in the Northwest or Central Himalayan region. So you have more amount of role play with the topography, more role of amount play by the slope of the topography, more amount of role played by the cover of the topography over which it is lying. If it's a forest, there will be chances of less damage because forest or trees act as anchor holding the lower soil or lower material. Where this is a barren land in higher Himalaya, that's where you have more slurry coming and more boulders, pebbles, and or more mud is coming. Number 3 point, which is very, very important to understand, in some mechanism where energetics is much, much higher, this precipitation is going up to 4,000 meters. In case of Dharali, we have seen, we are working on that. We saw that at 4,000 meters, you have that kind of cover, which is non-vegetative. And hence you have lot of, and slope is roughly 60 to 65 degree. That is what I've seen. And in the same day of Dharali, Uttarkashi, roughly in and around 7 or 8 cascading disaster has happened, which has not been reported, but that has happened. And we are seeing in the simulation model and precipitation mechanism that huge amount of precipitation is coming. This is the basic background on which I want to take this discourse further, that these nonlinear dynamics associated with these events are very well understood dynamically and well known. Now we have need to time to decide whether we are going to increase on the policy mechanism input from these kind of information, which will help in general SDRF. They are post mechanism phenomena, post mechanism forces. We are working, as I am listening to you, police, you said, political figures are coming there naturally because these disasters are hampering many people. Vast flood, flash flood is happening. On contrary and parallelly, if similar amount of flooding is happening, like in Mumbai, it's pouring from quite many hours, you have flooding is coming, but there is an exit route within it go to ocean. In Uttarakhand, Dehradun, I was talking to some of my colleagues. They say from last 2-3 days there is a continuous rain is happening, and I know the Uttarakhand, Dehradun, Jollygrant airfield was flooded, and flights could not land. They too had to be detoured. It has a huge socio-economic implication and mayhem by virtue of these months' time. And these need to be seen in the context that how we are going to do the policy mechanism. Most of the Uttarakhand and Central Himalaya and J&K, this is the pilgrimage time also, summertime. So many people who are coming from different parts of the country needs to be looked into because they get hooked up. They don't have the understanding of geomorphology. They don't have understanding of the disaster mechanism pertaining to that. And hence they're locked up, and there's a huge kind of a mayhem occurring in that. Particularly in Uttarakhand, I know Badrinath highway is broken at 3-4 places. A lot of landslide has come. And today morning also, ahead of Chamoli, the highway is cut. In Kathua, you have shown that there's a highway is cut, and hence
Right,
the village has
NH44.
gone
So,
isolation.
Professor Dibri, you have, you've explained in detail about the role of climate change in triggering such extreme weather events. You've also explained to us that how terrain and topography in such regions such as Kathua and Uttarkashi makes them more vulnerable to such disasters. Now, I want to ask you more about this, that how unplanned construction or deforestation is sort of worsening the impact of these cloudbursts, specifically in these regions.
See, Himalaya is very naive mountain. It's a
Right.
newest mountain, you may be knowing, and it's ecologically very sensitive in the context. And being the ecologically sensitive mountain, we have to see that how it is going to be remain as it is with the least impact as far as development is concerned. I have studied in Himalaya, western to eastern Himalaya. In eastern Himalaya, you say that there is a no hunting policy, no forest cutting policy, and local tribes, in particular in the higher northeast region of Arunachal Pradesh, they have very piously kept their ecology as it is, which is not the case in the central and western Himalayan region. Lot of the villages, lot of the people in the choice of economic earning, they are developing their houses along the roadside. They are developing, encroaching the floodplains of the rivulets, rivers. I am repeatedly telling from last 3 years this thing, that there should be a restriction on these construction to come across and come along these regions in the name of tourism, in the name of religious context for hosting many pilgrimages, particularly in this time. So livelihood definitely is a question, but at the cost of livelihood, these kind of urban settlement, urban development in the particularly in the valley plain, because there's a very limited scope happened in Josimat. You have seen because of the lot of overloading of construction, Josimat cracking has been reported, and we have done a study on that also. More you put indulge on this various underneath is the moraine land. It's not original Himalayan concretization beneath, Himalayan tectonic beneath. It is basically glaciated moraine which is left behind. And on top of that, when we are doing more construction, it is leading to more pressure on the subneath moraine, and that moraine is slipping off. And any kind of dynamic failure because of this dynamical phenomena will bring to the cascading mechanism. Be it 2010 Pakistan flood, be in Kishtwar flood right now, you see that amount of water is reaching so north. And monsoon in recent decade, we have seen that in the summer monsoon, we will definitely have more amount of precipitation going over these regions. Monsoon is shifting slightly westwards, and hence north is repeating, getting more amount of precipitation because ocean is warming and it has more energy to pump the not only the wind but the moisture laden wind, and it is supplying moisture also to the Indian summer monsoon in the northern monsoon. So this is, I am giving you regional synoptic figures. Now coming to the local level, this synoptic phenomena, regional phenomena is dumping the lot of amount of moisture in the context of in precipitation form. And because of this enormous amount precipitation in the short amount of time, cloudburst definition need to be revisited. It's a very, very important. It's last thoroughly, there is a debate that it's not cloudburst because it's 100 square kilometer, 1 hour.
Yes,
One
a
hour,
lot
this
of
is a
people
just a
said
few
it could
minutes
be a
phenomena.
glacier
It is,
outburst. A lot of people
yes,
also said that this could be a glacial outburst which triggered the flash flood in Dharali. So how do you look at that?
yes. Yes, because what I say always that cloudburst is not 100 square kilometer phenomena. It is
Okay.
a tens of square kilometer phenomena. So the definition has to be relooked into it. If 100 square kilometer is too huge of a region in the mountainous region, and there is a lot of topography, orographic variability, topographical heterogeneity comes into it. Hence, we have to relook into the present context. And this phenomena has gone much in numbers in the past 1.5 decade. That's what we have seen that. Earlier, cloudbursts were very rare in 80s, 90s. They were phenomena, but very rare because temperature was not rising. In present time, in Himalayan region, 0.6 degrees centigrade per year warming has been reported. And particularly lower foothill and upper elevation, we saw that warming rate in upper elevation is much, much more than the lower foothill. So upper Himalayan parts are getting drier more. So any amount of moisture is coming, that dryness will fill that gap, that moisture will fill that dry gap. And by virtue of that dry gap, you will have more vertical uh, filling of the atmospheric column, and hence more cloud bursts are coming. So these mechanisms we have seen very extensively, successfully, and demonstrated. This research need to be translated. That's where is the problem now.
All
What
right.
scientific knowledge is happening, it needs to be translated for the societal need, societal implications, societal forcings, along with the policy mechanism. So that's where we are struggling at the moment. I believe that two languages of the science and policy needs to co-join to have a successful pictorial view of that how this disaster mechanism can be minimized, how the impact can be minimized, and so forth. You have a economic development, economic losses will be minimized, cattle, property.
Sir, I understand your point here. Very young mountains, we are putting a lot of pressure, and with the kind of changes we are now witnessing, you're saying that the definition of cloudburst needs to be revisited. But I want to understand from you very briefly, in fact, what adaptation strategies can we adopt on the ground to, build more climate resilience in northern India?
Particularly, unplanned development should be restricted. Let me tell you very frankly, unplanned, when say it's easy to say, but it needs a lot of groundwork by policymakers. There is a lot of development happening along in my village. The elders used to say that villages should be always established away from the rivers. There were certain traditional statements which is not looked nowadays. If you go any of this mountainous region, even in the summertime, you will see there is a long queue of cars lined up right from Uttarakhand to Mussoorie, Simla, almost 10 kilometers behind. So a lot of pressure to these small towns, hilly towns has come up. And this is all impacting the local ecological things in these regions. So that needs to be tapped in certain way. I know it's not easy. Speaking is easy, but when you have to translate, there should be certain mechanism. Number 3 point, that how many houses you can build there. There's a limited valley floor region. So what's happening, most of the houses are getting built in the slopes. And when such kind of events are happening, these houses are getting flown along with this mud, along with the river, along with these various disasters, which we see, various visuals, we see that these shelters are getting blown off, going away. And then simultaneously, not only that, these shelters are adding more material in the flow, which is coming from the rivulet from top, and this material is going in the downstream region. And that is the reason that the river track is also changing. In case of Dharali, we have seen, in case of Dabrani, we have seen, in case of other rivers also, we have seen where the instantaneous one quasi boundary of dam gets filled up. Dam is getting made up, and then again that dams break up and it yields more of the river water engulfed with the adding materials. So that damage has to be minimized. That's what I have to see. Not only in Himalayan region, I was looking a visual that in Delhi, in some IT sector, there's a flooding in some societies happening. So these kind of things need to be looked into. That's my quick comments as far as the urban planning is concerned. That is required for that. Texas, we have seen international level. Texas was flooded. It's along windward side of Rockies. There is a very less amount of population lives there. Almost 9% of US population lives there. But this particular year, Texas was flooded.
Thank you, Professor Dimri, for giving us all of those details and putting these developments into perspective for our viewers.